Thank you so much to those of you supporting the channel on Patreon, including the big patron of the month, the Nerd Therapist. Thank you. Hello there, Pokemon Master! My name is Berkey and thank you for clicking on this video. Pokemon Sword and Shield is now out. I have been filling up my Pokedex, 200 Court, 300 Scene. We're getting there, and I've been loving some of the new Pokemon designs. I hope you have been as well. I have done my entire Let's Play. The whole game is on the channel now. It's my first ever Let's Play. It's been a bit of a learning curve for me. In fact, I'm going to leave a whole comment about that below. But yeah, I really do encourage you, once you've got the game for yourself, to check out the Let's Play and play along with me. And you know, while I was doing my Let's Play, there were a number of Pokemon that I knew I wanted to encounter, but I just couldn't seem to find them. There's always rarer Pokemon in a region. And unless you're sitting there with a handy-dandy guide open telling you exactly where everything in the game is, you're probably gonna miss a couple of incredibly rare Pokemon. So to kind of limit you knowing absolutely everything about every single route, but still tell you where you can find some of these rare Pokemon, I've made this video about some Pokemon that I think are incredibly missable in the game that you might want in your team. So of course, spoilers for if you haven't seen all of the new Pokemon designs yet. Or if you're not wanting these specific kind of 5 Pokemon that I'm going to mention spoiled for you. Speaking of never missing a thing, a nice little segue into today's sponsor, and I'm going to say a big shout out and thank you to the Blink XT2 motion detecting cameras. Whether it's for your home, your office, your workplace, these cameras have been my personal choice for security. Before this sponsorship actually came about, I had already gotten hold of a set. These cameras are fantastic. Number one, as you can see very clearly, they are small. They are small and sleek. They are also wireless, which means no wires, which means installation time is pretty minimal. They are incredibly easy to set up. You might think, wireless, how are they powered? They've got batteries in them that are said to last for 2 years before needing a recharge. They are incredibly easy to get down and put back up. I've just brought this one down off of the wall for this part of the video to show you, and it's going to take me seconds to put it back up. And one of my favorite things about it is it gives you notifications to the app right on your phone, so you can know if your kids have got home safe from school, or if the cat is at the back door mewing, or knowing where the postman has actually left your post from Black Friday sales. And speaking of Black Friday, yes, the Blink XT2 is on sale right now. Along with that, Blink is an Amazon company, so it's compatible with Alexa, by the means of two-way audio, which is incredibly fun, because it means I can do stuff like this.
Hey, Mum! Berkey here.
Toby, stop messing around!
Oh.
Sorry, Mum. But yeah, despite being incredibly small and compact, it's also incredibly robust. It's been handling the rain and the cold weather absolutely fine. You have complete customization over the motion detection, over how high quality you want the video, over how much footage you want it to keep and put into cloud storage, because it keeps that footage safe, and then you can empty out that footage if you want, or keep anything that's important. The Blink XT2 has night vision as well. There's honestly just so much to love about these. I personally have 2. As I said, they were my choice before this sponsorship came about. I'm honestly a big fan of the product, so if you'd like to get hold of some Blink XT2s, you can use the link at the top of the description. And thank you to Blink for sponsoring this video. With that being said, let's jump into the main topic of today's video. 5 Pokemon that are incredibly missable in Sword and Shield unless you go out of your way to find them. So last moment spoiler warning, let's start off with entry number 1, which is actually sort of 3 Pokemon. And I hope I'm going to get these pronunciations correct. We've got SQ, Stonjourner, and Duraludon. So first up, when we're looking at SQ and Stonjourner, these 2 Pokemon are version exclusives. Stonjourner is in Sword, SQ is in Shield. Duraludon is in both, and all of these Pokemon appear very late game. You can find SQ and Stonjourner on the route, I believe it's before the town with the 7th gym, Chichester? I think that's the name. Again, getting used to the names. Whilst there, they have a 2% encounter rate, which means you're super unlikely to see them. You won't see them in the overworld. You have to encounter the Pokemon in the long grass with the little exclamation marks. Duraludon has a pretty similar situation going on Route 10, except it's only 1% chance. And the only other way to get these Pokemon, and I think every Pokemon on this list you can get through max raid battles, and I guess different max raid spots have different percentage chances, but you're unlikely to encounter those Pokemon, I guess, consistently in your adventure until those things are mapped out. The only other place you can get all 3 of these Pokemon are in the Lake of Outrage, which is part of the wild area, and again, we're talking about a 2% chance of encountering them. You have to go there, obviously, during very specific weathers. I believe for Duraludon, it has to be a snowstorm. I'm not so sure about the other two, but the point is, the Lake of Outrage, you can't even reach without having the ability to ride over water on your bike, which you don't get until after the town with the 7th gym. Which means these Pokemon aren't going to be joining your team until the late game anyway. Duraludon, there is one other way to get it. You can trade for it in the town of Wyndon. I can't quite remember off the top of my head what it is you trade for it, but again, that is the last town in the game, so you're very unlikely to be taking it on your adventure with you. So yeah, Duraludon, Stonjourner, and Eskew, I'm counting you all as one entry because you all have a pretty similar vibe about you. Good luck getting them. Another very similar Pokemon in this regard is Dreepy. I believe the only place you can get Dreepy in the entire game is, again, the Lake of Outrage, so only accessible after the 7th gym. And the chances of finding a Dreepy in the wild is, I believe, 1%. You can get its second evolution at 2% chances in overworld encounters, and I believe that's only when it's overcast and one other weather condition at the Lake of Outrage. I really did my research, you can tell. Overcast, thunderstorm, and fog. And again, we're talking about the percentages ranging from 1% to 2%. So this is an incredibly difficult Pokemon to encounter. The second evolution does pop up in the overworld, but again, you're not getting it until the 7th gym, and there's not a way to get hold of it earlier outside of max raid battles. Actually, scratch that, I'm not even sure if that's correct. Someone will have to let me know in the comments. I don't know if you can get it through max raid battles. The point is, Dreepy is an incredibly rare Pokemon, and unlike the last 3 Pokemon that I've just mentioned, there's no other route you can get them from. You have to get them from this part of the game. One of the things that kind of really annoys me about that is the middle stage evolution is already at the level that it needs to be to evolve into the final stage evolution, Dracopult. Which means that, again, this is a very hard Pokemon to adventure it with. Really, you kind of want to breed it, get an egg, and trade it to a newer version of the game if you're going to play with it on an adventure team. So, moving on, Pokemon number 3, or 5 if you're counting it that way, let's move on to something totally different. Flapple and Appleton. Now, getting hold of its pre-evolution is relatively easy. There's a 10% chance on the route that has the Pokemon Daycare. There's a 10% chance that the Apple Pokemon... Appleton, Flapple... Applin, that's the name. I'm just gotta recall them all. This is all these new Pokemon. The Applin can be found there. And to be honest, I caught Applin knowing what its evolutions look like and thinking, yeah, I really want those on my team. And I found that Applin is a pretty useless Pokemon. It does not have wonderful attacks. So when I got to the city of Hammerlock and I spoke to a young boy who was on the eastern side of the town who was asking for an Applin, who said, could you give me your Applin? I was like, you know what? Sure, this Pokemon is rubbish and I have no idea when it evolves. I gave it to the young boy and a little cutscene plays out, and at the end he gives you your Applin back and the item that you need to evolve it into an Appleton and a Flapple, and I believe this is the only place in the game where you can get this item. By the way, Flapple and Appleton are version exclusive. Appleton to Shield and Flapple to Sword. So that is the only way that you can get this Pokemon, and unless you talk to that one NPC, you're not going to get it. So Hammerlock in the western part of the town. I think I said eastern earlier. I meant western. I edit to thank you for correcting me. So next on this list is another 1% Pokemon, Sizzlepede. There are only 2 places that you can get Sizzlepede in the game, again outside of max raid battles. Sizzlepede can be got 1% of the time, and that is in the long grass on Route 3. And that is it. That is the only way to encounter it. And that makes it as rare as some of the other Pokemon that I've mentioned on the list, but you do get a second opportunity to catch it, and that is in Kabu's gym. Now, you can only enter the gym challenge the once when you go and you defeat it. And at that point in the story, you have the option to defeat wild Pokemon in the gym or capture them for different points. You want to be capturing your Sizzlepede here, because here it has a 100% chance of spawning. It's just if you accidentally knock it out, then good luck doing the 1% encounter on Route 3. It's just genuinely frustrating because I wanted to have this Pokemon on my team much sooner than the 3rd gym. And finally, number 5, and absolutely the most frustrating Pokemon to get hold of in the whole region, it's Poltergeist, or rather Sinistea. The pre-evolution Sinistea, you can only get it 1% of the time in Glimwood Tangle, and my goodness, what a pain it is to catch this Pokemon. And you might think, well, Toby, that is just as difficult as any of the other Pokemon on this list, and sure thing, but I think a lot of people wanted Poltergeist, and it turns out there are 2 different forms. See, in the Galar region, Poltergeist inhabits teapots, and there are 2 different kinds of teapots that you can find in the game. The broken regular counterfeit one, or the actual authentic one, which is marked with a very special stamp. And both of these different kinds of pots can be found in Stowe on Tide, with one of them up a ladder on the eastern side of the town. It is a very well hidden item. It took me several loops around the town to even notice the item was there. Or when you talk to the merchant in the town, sometimes it seems to be pretty randomly, they will have in their possession the authentic teapot that Poltergeist should be going into. And that is how you get Poltergeist, so it's even harder to get, in my opinion, than the rest of them, and definitely very missable on your journey. Those, though, are just my 5 to 8 examples of Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield that are pretty rare, and I wish you all the best luck in getting hold of some of them to complete your Pokedex. And again, a massive special thank you to the sponsors of today's video, Blink XT2. Click the link below to get some of the cameras for yourself while they are on sale. With that being said, thank you for watching, and of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.